In this lesson, I am going to talk to you about properly naming variables in JavaScript. In JavaScript and any programming language, there are rules that apply to how you can name and how you cannot name variables, functions, etc. So, some of the JavaScript rules. First, variable names cannot contain spaces. Next, variables must begin with one of three things. They can begin with either a letter, an underscore, or a $sign. And then legal characters for JavaScript variables are letters, numbers, underscores, or $signs. Notice the addition here, numbers. Variables cannot begin with a number. Variable names cannot begin with a number. However, they can contain numbers. Variable names are case sensitive, and variable names cannot contain reserved keywords. So let's look at some examples of what's legal and what's not legal. So first name. Is this legal or not legal? Well, this is a legal name. It starts with a letter. It uses capitals and lowercase, but that's all legal. There's no spaces, so that is a legal variable name. This one, what do you think about this one? Well, this is obviously not legal because it contains a space between the word first and the word name, and we cannot have the spaces. But I can fix that by doing something like this, first underscore name, and you'll see some people use this naming convention where if they have multiple words in a variable name, they will use underscores in between. However, that is not the most recommended, and that's not a best practice for JavaScript. Some languages that is more common, but JavaScript, typically you're going to see something like this, and this is what's known as camel case. And let me show you another example of camel case. This is a camel case variable. Camel case simply means we start off with a lowercase letter, and then every new word within the variable name starts with a capital letter. And this is very common in JavaScript, and actually this is very common in many programming languages, and this is considered a best practice for naming JavaScript variables. So if you're going to have more than one word within there within your name, to make it easier to read, start each word with a capital letter. So here's a few more examples of legal and not legal names. So score is legal, underscore score, we're allowed to start with that underscore, so that is legal. Score one, okay, once again, we're allowed to have numbers, just can't start with the number, so that's perfectly legal. $sign score, we can start with the $sign, so there's nothing wrong with that one. Score, underscore card, that's legal. And then we can have a whole mix of numbers, letters, underscores, $signs, etc. So this one's perfectly legal as well. And then just a few more examples of variables that are not legal. This one score, starting with the 1 is obviously not legal. The space again between the words, not legal. And sometimes some languages this would be allowed. In some languages you can use hyphens and some other characters, but in JavaScript, remember, you can only use the underscore, the $sign, letters, and numbers. So that period would not be legal. So my variable is not a legal name. All right, now let's wrap this lesson up with the reserved keywords. You may be asking yourself, if you're completely new to programming, well, what does this mean? What are reserved keywords? Well, if we look at this list and we come down here, oops, didn't mean to do that. Let me turn on my pointer. Right here, var. That's a familiar word to us. We know that var is used to declare a variable. All of these have some type of function, some meaning within the JavaScript language, just like var does. So we could not have a variable named var because var is already used within the language. And that's the same with all the rest of these. And there are a few other words that are less common that are not in this list. You can get this list on Mozilla.org, and at the time of recording this video, these are up to date. When you're watching this, it's possible maybe some more words have been added, so Mozilla.org is a good place to reference that. You can also find it on my site, codewithken.com. I have this list posted on there as well. So that is how you can name variables legally within the JavaScript language.